How goes it, everyone? It is I, the world famous Fat Kid, back again for Week 4 recap. Well, if you watch my picks and you followed along at home, I don't know why you would, but hey, maybe you did. We had a pretty good week. Let me double check. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, only 5 losses. That's a big ol' 11-5. I mean, hey, little ups and downs, but haven't had a losing record yet, which actually makes us 38-27 on the year so far through 4 weeks. That's pretty good. I'm happy about it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy about it. So, before too long, let's get into the recaps of the games. Starting, of course, with Thursday Night Football, Lions-Packers. Big ol' 34-20 for the Lions. I picked the Lions, figured they'd take care of it in Lambeau, but I did not expect it to be as one-sided as it was, especially after that first drive, Goff throwing that interception. I mean, they turned it around and they just... I mean, they rode Montgomery, who had a huge game, 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I believe I saw he was winless in his career against Green Bay with the Bears. Goes to Detroit and gets a win. Man, I think the Bears are cursed. Shh, don't tell anybody. Well, we already all know. Let's see here. I don't want to say Love had a great, or he had a good game even. 246, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Kind of one of those learning games, maybe. They had no run game. Total yardage, 27 yards. Yeah, Green Bay's got they got a problem. I mean, they'll still finish 3rd in the division. I mean, they're not going to be worse than the Bears, of course. So yeah, Lions. They're doing about what I expected so far. I expected them to be a wild card team. They might get the division. But it's early. We're only a quarter of the way through. Well, just under a quarter. All right, moving on to one of the more interesting games. Not because of, content of the game, but because it was the London game, international. But it was the Toy Story Andy's Room game. I thought that was really good. It had some mistakes. It wasn't always working, but I thought it was interesting. I mean, it explained the positions. It explained, what the offense does, what the defense does, and the animations were pretty cool. I liked it. I look forward to more of those. But on to the actual game, Jags-Falcons. I picked the Jaguars. I expect them to, I don't want to say dominate, but I expect them to hit hard and win by at least 10. They got 16, so 23-7. I'm not mad about it. They hit hard quick in the first half, but then they just kind of fizzled out. And, I mean, the defense held the Falcons to only 7 points. It's pretty good. I mean, especially after the start Ritter had. He was not very good. I believe he had both of his turnovers were in the first half. I believe. I could be wrong. But I know he wasn't playing very well to start. And then he started getting better. Yeah. Bijan Robinson, he's a rookie, no name to me, because I don't follow rookies until they start doing stuff like this. 105 yards, 32 receiving yards. He's pretty good. So if the rest of the offense, if Ritter can play more consistently like he did in the second half, Atlanta might actually be a pretty decent team. Lawrence, moving to the Jags. Trevor Lawrence played just well enough. 207 yards, nothing to write home about, only one touchdown. ETN, 72 total yards. Yeah, it was enough to not lose. We'll say that. And the 61-yard pick six by Darius Williams. If you haven't seen that clip from the Toy Story point of view, I think it's great. Threw on afterburners and he was gone. Anyway, I look forward to more of the Andy's Room football games. Anyway, Jags win. Got it right. That's 2. Now, the game that I thought was going to be the game of the week, everybody was watching, most competitive, turned out to be kind of a stomping. Bills-Dolphins. I picked the Dolphins, and if you're following, you already know Bills won. 48-20. Yeah, it started out back and forth. I believe it was 21-14. Bills just scored their third, and then the Dolphins just kind of, they flinched, and they ended up not being able to keep pace with a 4-touchdown day by Josh Allen, 320 yards, but Diggs, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, got the hat trick. And they had no run game, so to speak. It was all Allen and the receivers, mainly Diggs. Yeah. So Miami came down to earth after their 70-point historical, they got brought right back down to earth. I'm not saying Miami's bad, of course. They played Buffalo, a Super Bowl contender. A perennial Super Bowl contender for the last, 3 years? There's no way you can look at Miami and go, oh, they're garbage, unless you're a hater, which I understand, it's fine. But this may be the toughest division. Well, okay, not the toughest division. The toughest 2-team. Yeah, I think the NFC East is going to be the toughest division, and we'll get to that later. Yep, I got this one wrong. All right, moving on. Vikings, Panthers. Oh, this was this is second bathroom toilet bowl game. This was terrible. The Vikings started out 99-yard pick six. Oof. Cousins played absolute trash. But they got the win because, weirdly enough, the defense bailed them out and held a bad Panthers team all second half. Scoop and score for Minnesota that ended up putting them up 14-13. And Cousins hit Jefferson for another touchdown later in the game to completely put it out of reach. But it was just, this was a terrible game. Nobody won that watched this. Even if you're a Vikings fan, you did not win watching this. It was terrible. The only good thing about it is I picked the Vikings to win. They did it. Woo! Moving on to the real toilet bowl. Everybody knows what I'm going to say. At least you should know what I'm going to say. We can say it together on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Bears Broncos. I hope you followed along with me. Okay, so if you're a Bears fan, that first half, you were riding high. You're thinking Justin Fields is phenomenal. He's MVP caliber. They scored 28 straight points. And then they blew it. Gave up 31 unanswered in the second half. Like, I don't know how to put this. All the Bears needed to do late in the game, 4th and 1, in Denver territory, deep in Denver territory, and they go for it. I get that there was like 3 minutes left, something like that, 3.5, 4, whatever. It doesn't matter. They forego the field goal attempt. They go for it. They get stopped. And then the Broncos come down and I believe kick the game-winning field goal. Like, whoever the coach is, because I don't follow the Bears. Eberflus, I think is the name I've heard. He should be gone. Like, again, the only good thing about this is I picked the Broncos to win. They got it. Put it in the win column for me. The only thing that I can say as a Bear for the Bears fans, you potentially have the number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft now. Because Carolina, you have Carolina's first round pick. And Carolina is right there behind the Bears. So, at least that's something. Both teams are trash. Moving on. Ravens Browns. So I picked the Browns. I thought the defense was gonna handle the Ravens offense because everybody, even if you're a Ravens fan, you should know the Ravens offense has been struggling. They are not very good. I mean, running back 1, Lamar, he's doing his thing. He's scoring rushing touchdowns. He's not throwing for very many yards or touchdowns. He's running the ball well, effectively. I guess that's all you need sometimes, unless you're playing the Colts. But that was last week. Yeah, what I didn't realize was they were starting a rookie quarterback for the Browns, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Yeah, he didn't have a very good game. 3 picks. Yeah, at least the Browns have a good defense, maybe. Yeah, I picked the Browns. They shat the bed is the best way to put it, and the Ravens won, so that's in the loss column. Let's move on to another failure of an NFC North team, the Steelers, taking on the Texans. The Steelers' offense is just terrible. They're garbage. And, I mean, that just shows how bad the Raiders' defense is, because they gave up 23 points, whatever it was, and the Texans held them to 6. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Just wait. I mean, from what I've seen for the first 4 weeks, I think the Texans are better than I give them credit for. A young group of kids, young group of guys, whatever. They're playing really well. I mean, I don't think they've been blown out in a game yet. I could be wrong. I don't follow the Texans. I just kind of check over the scores. They might be better than I thought. I mean, CJ Stroud, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. I didn't know. He hasn't really shown a whole lot, but that's a pretty good game. And then Nico Collins, 7 catches, 168 yards, both of the touchdown catches. Where did he come from? I don't know. But, like I said, I don't follow other teams. I'm going to keep track of them, though. That was... Yeah, they're pretty good. I got to give them a little more credit than what I have been. And maybe moving forward... You'll see that in the picks. Who knows? Next up, we got the Rams and the Colts. Actually, one of the more exciting games of the early Sunday slate. I picked the Colts, and it took overtime for them to lose. After that first half, Anthony Richardson, boy oh boy, not playing very well, but he came back strong second half. I mean... 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 56 and a touchdown. Like, I think all of those were in the second half to end up getting to the tie ball game. But Stafford, his only touchdown of the day was to Puka Nacua. 9 catches, 163 yards, and his first ever career touchdown. Like, for it to be a game winner in OT, that's pretty cool. I mean, this guy filling in for Cooper Kupp admirably, and with Cooper coming back to practice this week, he can only get better with Cooper Kupp's help and to pull people away from him to focus more on Kupp. So I see big things coming for him. But the Colts may have a quarterback. Anthony Richardson, he needs consistency, which I know I've said that already, and I say that about a lot of quarterbacks, but that's the biggest thing. If you know you're going to get 250 yards and a touchdown out of a quarterback, or 275 and 2 touchdowns, you know what you're going to get, you know what you need to build on. Right. Moving on. Bucs Saints. Yeah, it started out real slow. A real defensive game. It under double digits. I don't think double digits total scored between the two teams. And the Saints were using the quick pass game pretty effectively. But eventually something had to give, and Mike Evans started making plays. He's a good wide receiver, in case you didn't know. But he did go out with an injury midway through the second quarter. Did not return. I don't know his status just yet. I haven't really looked. But Chris Godwin, oh hey, I'm here. I'm pretty good. And he ended up taking the place and putting up pretty good numbers. I mean, 8 catches, 114 yards. He made some of the bigger catches late in the game to kind of seal the game. Mayfield, maybe this is what Mayfield needed. He's on a good defensive team, and he's winning. He's playing well. He's not playing great, but he's playing well. 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, I will say this. That interception did kind of change the game because the Saints player caught it at about the 1 or the half yard and was falling back into the end zone, and the ref ruled it down at the 1 instead of a touchback, like 95% of the people thought it would be. Resulting play, the fullback got the ball popped, and this was just before half. Tampa Bay picked it up, ended up scoring, making the lead 13-6 at half, I believe. Yeah, that fullback is a liability. He dropped a wide open pass that could have kept a drive going earlier. I saw at least 2 missed blocks, and then the fumble. Terrible. And I love fullbacks. Fullback is an underrated position in my opinion. But That guy, send him somewhere else. Carr coming back from an injury, showing that he's a tough mother trucker. Only got 127 yards passing. He should not have played. He should not have been in that game. That's my personal opinion. Take what you will with that. Alvin Kamara coming back after his suspension. 51 rush yards, 13 catches for 33 yards. Not great, but not terrible. But, I mean, the Bucs controlled the game. The defense just was too much for the offense. There really was no run game outside of the 51 rushing yards for Kamara. Bucs, it's going to come down to the Bucs and the Saints in the South. And I think the Bucs are going to have the edge. So, moving on to the actual toughest division in the NFL, the NFC East. We got the Eagles and the Commanders. I picked the Eagles thinking it was going to be a 10-point, 13-point win. Commanders have played well, but the Eagles are the Eagles. Like, the Eagles have been pretty good for the last few years. Made it to the Super Bowl last year. They don't really seem like they have much of a Super Bowl hangover. But it was a tough game. I mean, Philly came out slow. If they're going to want to actually take the division and go farther in the playoffs, they got to stop starting slow. They can't do that. Because some of these teams have been hot out the gate, and they'll get left behind. I mean, Sam Howell was just throwing the ball wherever he wanted for the most part. I mean, he hit 290 yards and a touchdown. Not the best, but still pretty good, especially against a highly rated Philadelphia team. Let's see here. I mean, that touchdown was crazy. I watched the last few of that game, and then once it went to overtime, I was watching Rams and the Colts, and then this game, and I didn't follow completely, but I was flipping between two good games. Sorry. Let's see here. Hurts, 319, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that's, like, we know Hurts can do that. And A.J. Brown, 9 catches, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. We know he can do that too. And that's kind of what kept the game out of reach for the Commanders. So, Eagles, 4-0. Commanders, I believe, are now 2-2. Cowboys, 3-1. That's going to be a tough division. I think the Commanders might actually send, or the NFC East might send 3 teams to the playoffs. We'll see. Let's go to another disappointing team in Cincinnati, taking on the Titans and losing 27-3. I picked the Bengals for a bounce back game. That's unfortunate for me. Derrick Henry had a good bounce back after being shut down for only 20 yards rushing. 122 yards, and he had another passing touchdown to his stellar resume, which I believe is now 4 for his career. Or is it 3? 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Bengals, but they're garbage. I mean, unless you're Jamar Chase, because I'm open. I'm always effing open. Yeah, we'll see about that, sir. But Bengals are garbage. I'm not picking them for the rest of the season. Ugh. Anyway, Titans won. That's a loss on my side. Now, this one's painful. Because this is Chargers Raiders. Raiders defense is trash. Raiders defense is trash. Raiders defense is trash. I mean, they were giving up big chunks of yards on the ground. 15 plus yards per run by second, third, fourth stringers, the quarterback. It didn't matter. The water boy ran the ball out. It doesn't matter. They cannot stop the run. And it's very frustrating. I honestly, I wrote this down. They need to trade Crosby so he can actually compete for a contender. Or with a contender. Because the Raiders are going to waste his career. Yay. Let's see here. So after the big hoofla about Herbert getting hit late out of bounds, which it was a late hit, Dingle Nuts deserved to get ejected. I'm not mad about that. But the other players kind of started lightening up on their hits because Divine Diablo, great linebacker. I think he's played very well the time that he's played. He was out for a few games last year. He just chest bumped Herbert and moved his hands up, and Herbert rolled off him and took off running. Threw like a 15-yard pass to get the first down. Like, at least grab him. Grab him. But the defense did turn it around in the second half. Chargers, I'm not going to give any credit to the Chargers because they played a terrible team. And I'm a Raiders fan. They played a terrible team. They did what they were supposed to do. Minus letting the Raiders score. The Raiders they maybe should have got one touchdown or a field goal. Not 3 scores with a potential 4th. The head coach is terrible. He's garbage. Khalil Mack, 6 sacks. Yeah. The rookie, Aiden O'Connell, couldn't hold on to the ball. Fumbled 3 times, lost 2 of them. Like, that's terrible. It hurts. But I picked the Chargers, so there's the upside. Cowboys-Patriots. Cowboys destroyed the Patriots. We all knew this was going to happen. Like, Patriots are terrible. The Cowboys, their early season form, they're going to steamroll a handful of teams. I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns, a scoop and score, and then a pick 6. Like, they did what they were supposed to do. Period. End of story. I picked the Cowboys. Moving on. Niners, Cardinals. I picked the Niners, but the Cardinals, 35-16, that doesn't really tell the story. The Cardinals hung in there. They played tough. They played hard. They just couldn't overcome Christian McCaffrey and his 4 total touchdowns. Like, he just went absolutely bananas. And Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, he looks good. At least 250 yards passing, a passing touchdown, I believe, every game. They're 4-0. They're going to be tough. But yeah, the Cardinals are looking a little bit better than I thought, but they're still not great. They're still not good, which makes it funnier that they beat the Cowboys last week. Anyway, moving on to Sunday Night Football. I picked the Chiefs. They won. Help from the refs. Come at me, argue with me. I don't care. There were some questionable calls on that final drive. I mean, whatever. There were some questionable calls, but the Jets still did not stop Mahomes from running. They did not take that into account, and you have to when you play Mahomes. Even with the calls or no calls or whatever you want to call it, they should have stopped Mahomes, especially on a 3rd and 20, and they let him run for the first down. You have to stop Mahomes. They didn't. I mean, this is probably one of the worst starts to Mahomes' career, and they're still 3-1. That's crap. Anyway. Final game of the week, Monday night, Seahawks Giants. I picked the Seahawks, and they put it to the Giants 24-3. Both teams played sloppy the first half. Both teams had a patchwork offensive line. I think they had at least two starting linemen out for each team. It did not look good. But the Giants just... I don't know what's going on. Like, I can't tell you, because I don't know. It's not Saquon. Daniel Jones didn't exactly play the best, but whatever. The Giants are terrible. So that's the safest way to put that. But that is the 11th win of the week. We're winning. That's all that matters to me. And hopefully I can stay with a winning record all throughout the season, even if it's only by one game. A winning record will be a winning record. So that was the recap. I feel pretty good about it, and we're gonna roll that into next week, week 5, and we're gonna keep improving, right? Right. So until next time, I hope to catch you in the next one. Have a good one.